Hey everybody, Frederick Tiles. Just wanted to discuss this payroll protection plan. Very interesting stuff. All right, so today, I believe it was Friday. Friday, that we got guidance stating that um, the payroll protection plan, as you guys know, is the government's stimulus package for business to keep people working and trying to keep businesses alive. Right? It's like a 2.2.5 month um, uh, estimated payment per se for your payroll expenses, potentially in your rents and your utilities, right? Potentially. So what has happened is what the SBA initially said was that um, as long as this plan was adhered to, that 75% of the dollar amount was used for payroll, and the other 25% could be used for things like your office rent, the mortgage interest expense on the office, and interest expense on leased equipment, as long as the equipment was American made. In addition to that, utilities, right? As long as the other 25% was used for that, within the first 8 weeks after receiving the stimulus payment or this PPP payment, the this loan would kind of go away and be forgiven. Well, that brings into account a few things. If you're a small business owner, brings into account a few things to consider. One, if the loan is forgiven, the question is, then is a forgiven loan now considered income like it usually is? The IRS hasn't necessarily given, SBA hasn't given guidance on that basically. But here's what they did give guidance on. And the AICPA asked them to give further guidance, and they released further guidance. And here's what the guidance basically said: it says any expense that's covered by the payroll protection plan. So anything that you and I use that's covered by the payroll protection plan, the payment from that plan cannot, I repeat, cannot be considered an expense on the 2020 tax return. Well, that is a very interesting thing because business owners are going to have to decide whether they want to apply for the loan forgiveness part, or do they want to take it as a loan and repay the loan at a 1% interest rate over 2 years. Well, depending on how profitable your business is, you may decide to take it as a loan, make the loan payments, right? Allow the payments that you used or the money that you use from the payroll protection plan, because if you use it as a loan, there is no income that's considered at all because that dollar amount that came in from the PPP is a loan, right? Everything you use it for, if it's a loan, is deductible. And then the interest that you're paying back the bank, even if it's a small rate of 1%, that interest is then deductible, right? At least at this point. These situations are fluid. So sometimes these videos, at the time of taping, them, this information is valid. And then sometimes as we go along in the process, the information becomes less valid or obsolete because something changes, right? So today I am saying to you that based on the way things are right now, today, Monday, May 4th, 2020, a small business, if it's profitable, right? If it's truly profitable, it may want to consider taking the PPP dollar amount and not applying for the loan forgiveness, but keeping it as a loan. It's something that you may very well may want to consider. And then for smaller ones, that businesses that may be less profitable or even maybe operating in the red, for those businesses, it makes sense because the cash flow may not be there to pay it back as a loan. So you're already in the red. This kind of helps you not go any further in the red. So in those cases, it may make sense to apply for the loan forgiveness after the first 8 weeks, right? It's just something I think every business owner needs to keep in mind. I know we hear something about loan forgiveness, and we kind of equate that with a grant that we don't have to pay back. But when you look at it from a wider angle or a higher level, you have to take other things into consideration. So, depending on where on the spectrum your business is, if it's highly profitable, then yeah, you may want to pay this thing back, use it as a loan, and just pay it back as a low interest rate. You use it as a line of credit per se, right? If you're lower in terms of liquidity and cash flow and net income, if that's on the low end, then maybe you want to decide to make this, and also obviously depending on how much of the payroll, how much did you receive, your business receive, in terms of the payroll protection plan, you may want to decide to go with the loan forgiveness. In any rate, never take these things at face value. Always dig deep, look further to make sure that you are making the right decision for your business. Obviously, if you're a nonprofit organization and you receive this money from the payroll protection plan, it makes sense for you at this point to take it as a loan and do everything you can to comply so that your loan can be forgiven, right? But as a for profit organization, you may want to consider again taking this PPP payroll protection money as a loan, or you may want to take it in consideration and apply for the forgiveness. Listen, with that said, this is um something I was thought about today after reading that guidance. Wanted to get it out to you for your consideration. Listen, have a great day, stay safe, and be well.